All right, so chapter 5. In this chapter, we're talking about we are talking about some more specifics of what we want in our report. We want to get into what exactly do they want to see? And something that I thought was interesting and I agree with was when they talked about becoming a habitual report writer. Write your reports in the same manner as you for every report. And in doing so, when you become a habitual report writer, you will gain speed and accuracy. By being a habitual report writer, you will gain speed and accuracy in your report writing. Why is that important? Why do we care about speed and accuracy? I'm a police officer. They're going to pay me to write my report. And if it takes me 5 hours to write my report, then it's going to take me 5 hours to write my report. And I guess that's a true statement. If you want to move up in the ranks, it's not a very good attitude, though. It very well may take you that long to write a report, but I can tell you my first DUI the report took me 2 hours. I was able to get my DUI reports down to about 15 to 20 minutes after my first year of law enforcement because my DUIs would always follow the same path. On such and such date, while on patrol in marked car, I observed this vehicle, and then I would identify what they did, what traffic violation they did that caused me to stop them. I then moved on to where I initiated the traffic stop and how they pulled over. They pulled over quickly, easily, whatever. I identified then I talked about going up to the vehicle, identifying myself, identifying the driver who was inside the vehicle, and what I noticed. Did I smell alcohol in their breath? Did I smell the strong odor of an alcoholic beverage on or about their person? Were they able to listen to commands? Were they able to function properly? Things like that. Then I moved into my field sobriety test. And it was very very clearly outlined exactly how I did it. So once I got that down, it was easy. Now I've been seeing a lot of things come over the wire. I've seen some notices about officers just copying their reports, just cut, copy, and paste. And just changing out the names and stuff. Now, for speeding offenses, that's kind of a standard thing. You just change out where the location was, what the speed was, what the time and things like that are. It makes it a little bit easier. For DUI, I probably wouldn't recommend that. You want to make it kind of specific, but a general template of how you do things, I would recommend. The book talks about how do you refer yourself in your narrative, and once again it talks about using first person and using your name, using I instead of using third person by just your name. And I agree with that. I do start my reports off by saying on the above date and not on the above date and time on January 16, 2007 at approximately 6:32 p.m. While in a marked vehicle, patrolling within my jurisdictional boundaries, then I put a comma, Chief Thomas Matthew Cicenti, comma, observed whatever. Then from that point in time, I just refer to myself as I. That way, in case maybe your narrative is 2 or 3 pages long, it doesn't have your unit number, your name identified on the narrative, on each narrative page, they will know who's writing this narrative. So I do that. Gathering personal information in these reports, very important. Officers miss this all the time. Let me tell you something we miss all the time. Phone numbers. Get every phone number this person has. Why? Because we don't have phone books anymore that work. People no longer have home phones. I don't have a home phone. If an officer wants to find my telephone number, they're not going to be able to because I have a cellular phone. So even if you knew the cellular company that person belonged to, which is highly unlikely, they're not going to release the telephone number to you. So gather all of their cell phone numbers when you're taking that report. If you say, "What's your phone number?" Say, "I don't have a." Say, "Well, what's the best way to get a hold of you then?" Maybe you can get a mother's telephone number or something. It's just going to be so much easier on your follow-up if you have a telephone number that you can follow up with. Let's look at this one. What about ethnicity? Sometimes you cannot be specific. What if you don't know? The book talks about what if they're Spanish or Portuguese or Mexican or in a similar group like that. What do you label them as? Well, use general terms then. Say they are Latin. They believe to be Latin. Um, is acceptable. So just remember with these ethnicities to do not just label into the three categories of races. We want to use ethnicity and what we believe their ethnicity to be. Um, when you're taking statements from a victim, this is important. We cannot lead the victim. And what I mean by leading is saying, okay, I want to get a description of the suspect. Did they have black hair? Oh, yeah, I think they had black hair. Oh, okay. Did they have brown eyes? Oh, okay, okay. Did they was their skin dark? You know, were they about 6 foot? Those are leading questions. You say, what do you remember about the suspect? How tall do you believe the suspect was? What color of hair did the suspect have? Those are open questions. You're not leading the person in that case. Vehicle descriptions. People always want to give you vehicles. It was a blue car. Well, maybe it was a blue car, but maybe it was just the light that it was in that made it look blue, and maybe it was really green. I run into that all the time. Ask for specifics. Say, did you see dents? Did you see scratches on the vehicle? Here's a big one. What did the car sound like when it was driving away? Did it have muffler problems, or did it have an engine knock and that kind of thing? Maybe jog their memory a little bit if they can't tell you anything about the vehicle. Addresses. Let me tell you what happened. I can tell you the address right now that our officers did this all the time at. It was a little dive address that they went to all the time for drugs, and they'd go in, they'd arrest somebody, and they list the apartment complex address, but they wouldn't list the apartment number. And what basically happened was they went in there, they arrested the person, they dragged him out, they put him in the car, and nobody really noticed what apartment number it was. Now they're back at the station typing up the report. They have the address for the apartment memorized because we were out there so many times. They just didn't bother with putting the apartment number on. They said, I got the general address. Well, there are 32 residences in this one apartment. It's not the whole apartment that did it. It was that specific residence. So when you're doing addresses, make sure you list the room or the apartment number. And the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is MOs, modus operandi. In our class discussion this week at the academy, I jumped all over this one because we were investigating a rape case. And the instructor said, okay, now what's the MO? And so they started to describe, well, okay, he enters the second floor window, he does da, and he listed these things. I said, wait a minute. We can't label this as an MO, not with a first offense. That is not an MO. That is just what one guy did one time. And if we label this as an MO, especially in our report, if we start talking about an MO of a suspect in our report, and then we have the same guy, in this case, rape someone else, except for this time he enters through the first floor window, and this time he used duct tape instead of rope, and all these other things, the defense attorney is going to jump all over that. He's going to say, wait a minute, whoa, you said that the person doing this had an MO of da. No, we do not, especially in the first offense, we do not list MO. Do not use the word MO unless you truly have an MO, modus operandi, unless you are able to link those things. Now, once you do, then that's fine. But just be very careful about using that word because you don't want to solidify yourself to a specific thing that you won't be able to back up in court. So, with that said, I hope you guys have a great week. I look forward to reading your all's reports that you've submitted through the Blackboard, and I also look forward to reading your assignment from the report that you gathered this week. So shoot me an email if you have any questions, and I look forward to this week's discussion board. All right, see ya. Thanks.